And then the back started hurting again. And then my pastor said, he called me up one Sunday. He said, you know that the back issue has to do with something else. It's literally something that you're carrying that you're not giving over to God. Like really, like you don't think it is, but it's something that it's weighing you down. He said, and it's coming out and affecting you through your actual body. And I'm like, okay.
So we are going live on Facebook. Hello, everybody tuning in. Hey, I see Brother Kendrick, Cousin Gene. I see Agape Love. Listen, we're getting ready to go live, the Drawing Board Podcast. It's my first ever podcast. Super excited. I have some amazing guests that are here. And if you're tuning in, we'll be going from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. I want you to comment, ask questions. I'll be able to loft your questions to my guests. Of course, we have things set up, but it is exciting. All right. Hey, cousin. All right. And I think we're getting ready to record the intro. Are we going straight in, or what are we doing?
I was going to say, so what we're going to do is I'll start the mics and I'll let you know, and you can record your intro part.
Okay.
And then after that is I'll pop up everyone's mics and you can just continue on with your show.
Okay. So listen, you get a chance to get the behind the scenes look. I'm getting ready to record the intro. Give me some comments and feedback. Tell me what you think about it. And hey, what's going on? That's my brother Tamir. We're getting ready to record the intro, and I want you all to tell me what you think about it. I may have to record it more than once, or I may get it right like Ray Charles, one take only. All right?
Well, we're going to start with it, and if you're comfortable with it and you like the way it sounds, just give me a thumbs up, and I will pop the mics and we'll continue the show. If not, we will stop and restart.
Okay.
So why don't we just start now, just so you do have time to make that up if you'd like.
Okay.
And then also I will give you like a 5-minute heads up and a little bit of a countdown towards the end. So you don't have to keep track of time. I'll do that for you.
Okay, great. Great.
All right. Feeling ready?
Feeling ready.
Okay. Mics up in 3, 2.
Thank you for tuning in to the Drawing Board Podcast with your host, Andre Ebron, where we talk about family, relationship, ministry, community, and career. And I want you to know we started this way. Your future is not behind you. It is not before you. It is within you. Let's see what we're talking about today. All right, I'd like to welcome to the show my very good friends and my sister and my brother, Mr. Jesse Cole. Let me tell you a little bit about Mr. Jesse Cole. He is respected by his audience as a gifted storyteller. Jesse Cole speaks about overcoming the challenges that most business leaders face every day, whether it's generating leads, increasing market share, employee retention and growth, business pliability, or brand expansion. These challenges can prevent them from being the innovative and impact-driven leader their employees and customers need them to be. The CEO of Kingdom Mobile Coaching, Mr. Jesse Cole, encourages and equips leaders to become their better versions of themselves. He believes that there is no separation between the work that you do and the reason you were created to do it. Mr. Jesse Cole embedding a faith component in every presentation. Mr. Cole designed a framework that challenges a company to uncover the deeper purposes within their business and teaches them how to inspire their teams to perform at their optimal level. Cole has shared his reigned leaders at notable organizations and companies such as, prepare yourself, drum roll please, Ford, UAW, Deloitte, Teach for America, Boys and Girls Clubs of America, Child Safe of Michigan, Michigan State University, and American Business Women Association. He is also a founding member of the Michigan Institute for Student Leadership. Cole currently resides in the Metro Detroit area with his wife, Shalina, and their 2 children, Dean and Naya. Let's get a whole loud hand clap for Brother Jesse Cole. How you doing, sir?
I'm still winning. How are you, sir?
Oh, man, I'm great. Glad to have you on the show. And we did all of that formality to introduce and reading his bio. And I want to introduce my sister before we dive into our interesting topic for the night. My sister, and you may know her out there, she is no stranger to this radio life. Her name is Tiffany Trillionaires Patton, and her bio speaks the following. It says, media is a way of life for native Detroiter Tiffany Patton. With an enduring passion for media and empowering others in tow, Tiffany is often recognized as a modern-day Renaissance woman. Can we pause right there? What does that mean, Miss Patton? A modern-day Renaissance woman.
Well, I'm a lover of all things arts, from the media to culture, art to music. I am to poetry. I am everything that, and I don't liken myself to her because those are huge shoes to follow. But Dr. Maya Angelou, she was a dancer. I'm a dancer. And I've done dance for many years. She loves the arts and culture and poetry and writing. That has been who I've been my entire life. So the creative side of me has always been what's most passionate about who I am. So I liken myself to that Renaissance woman.
Awesome. You ever notice that really creatives, they always speak in that gentle tone because it carries so much power and passion. And so as they contain that power and passion, they express it in a very calm and gentle way. But when you see them on stage or you hear them, before an audience, all this power comes through in every movement. And so let me tell you some more about Miss Patton. In 2011, Tiffany sought to premiere the first radio broadcast of On the Go with Tiffany Patton. The Detroit-based radio show gained much traction and became the source of neo-soul, jazz, soul, and gospel, with interviews from renowned actors, celebrities, and world notables such as Lamont Rucker, Ajane Ellis, and Dr. Maya Angelou. Wow, you had an opportunity to interview her.
Yes.
That's powerful.
Yes.
And also notable musicians like Brian McKnight, Take Six, and P-Funk legend George Clinton. The radio show provided its audience with information designed to empower, educate, and inspire. Powered by the media maven, the show has also featured gospel veterans such as Fred Hammond, Troy Sneed, and CeCe Winans, and jazz genius Boney James, Norman Brown, Mesa, did I say that right? Mesa, and Richard Elliott, and last but not least, media icon Kathy Hughes. The radio show has also emerged into a nationally syndicated podcast on all Amazon Alexa devices. Let's give it up for Miss Tiffany Patton. All right. Yeah. I'm so glad to have you all on the show. And so while we're here on the show, let's tell the people about what the Drawing Board Podcast is all about. So the Drawing Board Podcast, it came from a book that I wrote entitled The Drawing Board. And the Drawing Board is a powerful, thought-provoking testimonial that challenges the reader to examine their life and reimagine the possibilities. Can I share a story with you all? So I was at an event for Black United Fund of Michigan. And guess whose table was right next to my table? Brother Jesse Cole. And if you know anything about him, he's there to inspire and motivate you. And I'll be honest, I had a mentoring program at the time, but I had more mints and candy on my table than I actually had content. I'll be honest with you. I just had a dream. I had a passion. I had a skill set. And of course, Brother Jesse came over to me and said, "Hey, man, what's going on?" He introduced himself, and he asked me about a book. And so if you're writing a book, for those of us who are authors, we know the lingo. So when you say, "Oh, Doc, I'm working on it," translation, I haven't really put foot to pedal yet. And so he challenged me, and he really became an accountability partner. So I do want to say, sir, and we all are lovers of Christ, first and foremost. I do want to applaud and thank you internationally and say the push to get this book written, it came from you. I was working on it. Of course, like those of you who have dreams of writing a book, you have probably 30 or 40 different notebooks, and you have napkins and pieces of papers and receipts with ideas on it. But you have to take the time, invest in yourself, because the world needs to hear your story. Brother Jesse Cole, I have some of your books with me here, sir. Look at you. All right, so Walk Like a King and Lead with No Apologies. Talk to me a little bit about your work as an author.
Wow, that's a huge question, Andre.
Yes, sir.
My first book was in 2008. It was called Understanding Your Season, Removing the Frustration from Pursuing Your Destiny. And at the time that I wrote that book, I was frustrated. I didn't know where to go. I knew that God had given me these gifts, this anointing, but I just didn't know how to do it. I kind of likened it to having this big treasure chest full of treasure, but not knowing how to use it. That's how I felt. So that was my first book. And then my second book was Walk Like a King, The Young Man's Guide to Conquering the World. And so I was working in the school district in Dearborn, and most of the students that were in that school, they were bused in from Detroit. So here we go. This school in Dearborn, but most of the residents come from Detroit. Most of the young men in that school didn't have fathers or positive male role models. And there was only two black males in that school. Me, as a dean of students, and one of the other gentlemen that was there. No mentoring program. And so at the time I was getting some success coaching, and my success coach, he said, okay, you have the content to help these young men.
Right.
I challenge you, just like I challenged you.
You did.
Right. He said, I challenge you to write this book in 30 days.
In 30 days, you wrote this entire book.
30 days.
Walk Like a King.
Yep.
So it went from idea
to implementation.
In 30 days.
From that book, a mentoring program was birthed in that school, my pilot mentoring program called Walk Like a King. Where we had 16 young men in that mentoring program. They would come and meet with me every Wednesday at lunchtime for the hour. So lunchtime is usually a time where you get to fraternize with your friends and socialize. But they came to my classroom to get mentored on leadership.
Oh, wow.
For
That's
8 weeks.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Wow. Think about that. So if you are listening and you have an idea, Brother Cole, are you telling me that you can go from idea to implementation to actually bringing and manifesting this thing and empowering other lives within 30 days?
Absolutely.
All right, so this is a message to you all listening. There's a book in somebody that's listening to me right now. And all you have to do is sit down. 30 days. I challenge you like Brother Jesse Cole challenged me. All right, you need to make sure you're putting that book, that pen to paper, or you need to stroke the keys on your keyboard, because somebody needs to think about those young men. So the statistics say that in Metro Detroit, 85+% of children are growing up in female-dominated single-parent households. So in 30 days, those young men who may have come from those circumstances were able to walk like a king. And break that down for me. What does it mean to walk like a king?
So KING stands for keep investing in the next generation.
Oh, wow.
Right? So it's not about your status. It's about once you learn something, how are you going to strengthen your brother?
Absolutely.
How are you going to strengthen your neighborhood? How are you going to strengthen your aunties, your uncles, your cousins, right? And so it's all about walking in your destiny, walking in purpose, and make sure that everything that you learn that you pass on to the people that's coming behind you. That's what walk like a king really means.
Awesome. So you have to keep investing in the next generation. Now, Miss Patton, I've had the opportunity when I was working for Cornerstone Schools, I had the opportunity for you to come out to the school and to empower our young people and to speak to them. And walking in purpose and walking in destiny and for fulfilling their God-given assignment. Those were some of the things that you talked to them about, but you also talked to them about it being a process. And I know that you have a book out and it speaks to some of those things as far as process. Please share with us some information about your book.
The book is called Push Through, how to go from the process to the promise.
Okay.
And how the process leads to the promise. And basically the book is about, so many times we have a goal in mind, but unfortunately the millennials and younger feel as if, I have this goal so I can go from 1 to 20. Now, it's funny because I was the exact same way. I mean, literally up till just a few years ago.
Okay.
But that was only because mine came from my faith in God. And, so if I'm the type of person that if God tells me something, I normally just jumped and did it. I didn't okay, he told me, I'm jumping. That was the faith part. But wisdom taught me, okay, you have you believe enough to move, but seek God's face first for the steps before you move.
Awesome.
And that is a process. And so many times when God tells us a thing or we have a goal in mind, we don't understand. And I know that God deliberately does not tell us all of the different things that will happen within that process time, because he knows that if he would tell us, we wouldn't do it. We wouldn't move.
All right.
And that's smart. That's wisdom on God's part, because he knows. If you had told me, okay, Tiffany, I want to get you here, but in order for you to be here in media or do this, you may have to be homeless. You may go through this. I would have said, oh no, I'm not doing that. I'm good. Yeah. I'm good right where I am.
Right.
I'm not going through a process because I like to be comfortable. And so many times we like to be comfortable. And I tell the youth, there's no real safety and comfort. And what I mean by that is being comfort and being safe to me equates to being stagnant.
Okay.
If you're safe, that means that I'm safe right here. I'm safe in the way I'm thinking. I'm safe in what I do. I'm kind of on autopilot, which means that I'm never going to evolve to the next step or the next level or the next dimension that God needs me to be at. Any type of growth, any type of expansion, any type of increase, there has to be a process. There has to be an uncomfortability that occurs for you to be able to be processed to that next level. Uncomfortability means that there is growth. Anytime, my sister right now is pregnant as we speak.
Okay.
Today she was
Congratulations.
induced
Oh,
because
wow.
she was due on Friday, and my niece does not want to come out. But there's an uncomfortability that she's going through right now. But it's to birth out a greater thing. She's birthing out a whole life. But she has to be uncomfortable to be able to do it. No matter what happened at the beginning or the end, the middle result, that middle part is that process that most people don't want to go through. And you have to go through the process to get to your end result. It's what God showed me is I had to let go of myself.
Okay, expound on that.
I had to let go of my wants, my desires, my will for His will, His desires, and what means most to Him and not me. Because the very thing that I think I may want is the very thing that He doesn't want for me, because He sees down the line that it's going to cause or impede or stop or stagnate the very destiny that God has for me.
So let me ask, Ms. Patton, if you have to exchange your ideas for His ideas, your desires for His desires, your wants for what it is He's purposed, like, how do I do that? Because I know there are sometimes there's a process to purpose, right? And we identify and we say these words and we have grown up on these words and we hear these words. But like when we break it down to the how to, like how did, I know I can feel it in my spirit saying there was a breaking, there was something I had to go through, right? But like to break it down for our listeners, like what exactly does that mean? Because in the context of things, as I listen to you, it reminds me of what my pastor says, because I was just like you. If God showed me where we were going, like if I was Abraham, I probably would have been up at the mountain already. Right. And what my pastor says, Dr. Carol Lee Dixon of Kanos International Church, hey, shout out. She says you can get the direction, but you have to wait for the instruction.
Yes.
And that was such a liberating truth. It allowed me to relax. It allowed me to ease whatever fear might have been there. Because, you know, when you're on when you're on a pacing guide, you set your goals, you set your objectives. I had a 5-year plan. I had a 10-year plan. I had a 15-year plan, and I had a 20-year plan. These things, I mean, I sat down and I wrote it out, and I put a scripture at the top to justify what I wrote. I said, write the vision, make it plain. So when I see it, I can run with it, you know? And God, we always say God has a way of destroying what it is that you have planned. But the thing about it is He gives us something so much better. So for us listening, like that initial point where it's a humbling process, but tell me, how did you exchange your ideas? And Brother Cole, feel free to jump in there and give your input. How did you exchange your ideas for His ideas? Your wants for His wants, your desires for His purpose?
Honestly, I had to. There's always a breaking process. There is. There's always something that you have to go through for the defining moment of who and what do you love more? Is it me, or is it the thing that you want? Is it the person you want? Is it the idea that you think you need to have? Who do you love more? And that happened for me earlier in the year. And I said, you know what? My answer is you, God. And it had already been that for so long. See, a lot of times we know exactly what we need to do. We just hesitate in doing it. And we hesitate in doing it because we know that it's something that we have to give up that 9 times out of 10 we don't want to. And I had to be honest with myself and say, you know, I knew in my heart until I let go of my will of how I want certain things to pan out of what I want, I'm not going to get to where I inevitably really desire to be. And it was so hurting and so humbling.
Mm-hmm.
But I truly had to let go and truly let God. And I don't mean just talk. I mean doing it. I mean turning away and staying straight and never turning back around. See, so many times we say that we trust God and that we believe God. And I've said it so many times in my life. And looking back, I really didn't. Because had I truly believed and trusted God, then I would have just listened to him, did exactly what he told me to, complete and total obedience, and kept it moving. But I didn't. I kind of gave a version of what he wanted. We all do that. I'm going to kind of give you the version of what you want. You want me to do this, so I'm going to do 75% this way, and I'll keep 25, and I'll kind of work on how I'm gonna do that, because I know you want me to get that up too. But we'll figure this out. We'll make it to where we can work it in, so where you can work it in your plan for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not how God works. You truly have to have a let go spirit. Fall is so wonderful because the elements will show you how to do that. Trees will show you how to let go. It sheds the leaves and goes through winter in preparation for summer to birth the new thing. In order for you to get the new thing, in order for you to get to the destiny, in order for you to get to a new level, a new dimension, you have got to be willing to let go. Truly let go and let God. It's almost like surrendering. I truly had to say, I surrender all. No matter how much I have to hurt, no matter how many nights I have to cry, no matter how many people I have to leave, no matter how many people may not understand, I truly have to be willing to truly just let go. Let go. And it was really that. I don't know how to explain it in any other way other than just truly surrendering. Totally and completely, even while I was scared straight. Truly.
It sounds like that was it sounds like you had a drawing board moment, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah, that you had to go back and those hot tears begin to roll and those access to you, people who had access could no longer have access. And you changed people, you changed position, you changed priorities. And that was all those alliterations, you called it. And, Brother Cole, break it down for us. What do you think is necessary, especially because you're helping so many faith leaders and business leaders. And a lot of times, even in business, you have to come back to the drawing board, or you go through that breaking process, or it's humbling because entrepreneurship is not for the faint at heart.
Right. So a lot of times, many times, often, as you say, our desires are outside of God's will for us, right?
Yeah.
And so once you understand, I believe, this is my strong belief, once you understand what your purpose and your assignment is, then you can begin to get into alignment with what God wants for you, right? And so just to break down what purpose and assignment is, and it's real simple. Your purpose is why you were created. Your assignment is how you demonstrate it.
Okay.
Right? So why am I here? Like, why did God create me? I know we're here to give God glory. We know that. All right. That's a given. But specifically, why am I here? I believe that I'm here, that I'm on earth, to encourage and equip leaders to become the better versions of themselves. Doesn't matter if you're an adult, you're in kindergarten, 89 years old.
Yeah.
You meet me in the gas station or the grocery store. If you encounter a conversation with me, my goal, my role is to help you leave better than what you came, to encourage and equip you to become the better version of yourself, right? That's my purpose. My assignment is to help you grow your faith as you grow your business. That's where I am right now, right?
Okay.
So in business, that's my assignment. So how do I demonstrate my purpose as a father? How do I demonstrate my purpose as a husband, as a brother, as a son? So once you understand what your assignment is, then you'll get a better understanding on, okay, this is how I can glorify God while I'm here. And your desires become his desires.
Okay.
And you don't feel like you're losing anything.
Yeah.
Because
That's right.
again, his thoughts not our thoughts, right?
Ways are not
Ways are
ours.
Ways not our ways, right?
As
His
far
plan,
as-
his plan is to what? Prosper us,
Yeah.
not to harm us, but to give us
Absolutely.
a hope and a
And the
future,
future.
right?
Absolutely.
And so he thinks good thoughts of us. He
Yes.
doesn't give us something that's going to poison us. He's
That's
only going to
right.
give us life,
Absolutely.
right? And so that whole letting go piece is key, but also understanding what your purpose and assignment is will help you get even more clarity on why you're here and how you can glorify God in your body.
So that sounds like that Jeremiah 29 and
Yeah.
11, right?
Yeah.
I know the plans that I have for
I
you,
know.
saith the Lord.
And see, here's the thing about that scripture, not to get like too churchy,
No,
but,
it's okay.
right? But if you read before that,
Mhm.
God's people were in captivity.
Absolutely.
And he told them to get comfortable in captivity. I want you to marry. I want you to build houses. I want you to eat the food of the land. I know you're in captivity,
Mhm.
but you're going to be here for what, 70 years. So while you're here, I want you to get comfortable. But remember this, after this appointed time, I know the plans I have for you,
Mhm.
Hmm.
right? Says the Lord, to prosper you, not to harm you. So you're here, but you're not going to be harmed.
Mhm.
I'm covering you even though you're in captivity, right?
So their captivity served a purpose.
It's the
Go.
process.
And that's the process. So some of you all may feel, and I know what it is to feel. Some of you all may be reporting to a job that you just totally dislike. Some of you may be in relationships that seem like it's no life in that relationship. You drive around the house 39 times before you actually pull up to it. Some of you all may be, just engaged in some things that, at one time served its purpose, but it's time to birth and go to the next level. So
No longer fruitful.
it's
That's
no longer
right.
fruitful.
Yeah.
And one of the things I think that is so interesting is that we can be committed to what was fruitful or what was impactful. Let me give an example of this. It's not a trivial example, but it'll sound trivial when I tell you. So my wife used to really love flowers. And I was so committed to giving her what she desired that I extended myself beyond the time that she would enjoy them. I'm telling you, I was bad. I had a florist and it's bad when you have a florist. They know you by first name. I was bringing home fresh flowers every week. And it wasn't so much that I wanted the flowers in the house, but the joy that I saw on her face when I delivered them.
Mhm.
So I'm talking about years into this. I'm bringing fresh flowers every week for years. And so all of a sudden I bring home the fresh flowers one day and I don't get the response that I'm used to, that bright smile. She says, her countenance changed. And so I said to her, as she's watching, Shalisa, love you, baby. I said, babe, what's up? You're not really feeling the flowers? She said, I didn't want to say anything because it looked like it brought you so much joy. And what had happened is the relationship with bringing home the flowers every week, or that process, had expired. And even though she enjoyed them, it was time to move on to something different that could have brought her more joy. And she didn't have the courage to tell me because she thought that I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I clearly at that time was like, now, wait a minute. I know the florist and I'm not going to call your name, but I can save myself a lot of time, a lot of energy, effort, and a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And I could redirect those efforts. Do you think sometimes that certain relationships end up going sour because the grace of that relationship has come to an end and we don't know how to successfully part ways amicably? What do you think about that?
Yeah, it happens, man. I'm going to share a story with you. It goes back to what you were talking about, things not profiting or delivering anymore, right? And so one day, I shared this story when I'm speaking. One day I was leaving a speaking engagement and I was going back home to get some gas. I pulled up in the gas station and I saw this homeless man there. And so I just purposed in my heart to give him some money before I left, right? And so in my glove compartment, I had this bag of coins that I've been saving all summer. It was about $10 worth of coins in that bag. I'm going to give him this bag. It's not going to change his life, but it could probably change his day. He can get some off the dollar menu or something like that, right? He don't have to dig in the garbage, right? So I go in, pay for my gas, come back out, and I didn't see him anymore. It's like he disappeared. And I said, okay, well, at least I can keep my money now, right? So I pumped my gas, got back in my car, was about to get ready to leave, and he just reappeared on the side of my car. And so I said, okay, well, I got to get this man this money. So I rolled my window down. I said, excuse me, sir, you don't got to dig in the garbage today. Here's some money. He looked up at the money, looked back down at the garbage can and kept digging in the garbage. Okay, so now I'm starting to get offended because I'm trying to help you, right?
Right.
So, excuse me, sir. You don't have to dig in the garbage today. Here's some money. It's not a lot. Here's some money. You don't got to do that today. So he looked down at the garbage, looked up at the money, looked back down at the garbage, reached up, put the money in his pocket, and kept digging in the garbage.
All right.
So I'm driving off. I'm like, okay, what's that about?
Mm-hmm.
And I was convicted because Holy Spirit was like, you do the same thing every day.
Mm-hmm.
Every day you're given a new opportunity to get better.
Mm-hmm.
I'm giving you new mercies, brand new grace, a new mindset. That's all the stuff is available to you, but you continue to dig in the garbage. You continue to depend on habits that don't work anymore.
All right.
Hanging on to relationships that don't profit anymore. You
Right.
don't know how to let go.
That's right.
And that's why you haven't moved forward.
Yes.
So there is power in letting go.
I'm telling my goodness, that's exactly what God showed me. I'm not a pack rat. I can't stand that. But I do that with things sentimental things and people. And a lot of times, and God had to show me, not just with one individual, with many individuals going back, how he had tried to move me from a situation, tried to move me from a ministry, tried to move me from certain things, and I held on too long to where I'll never forget. Never forget. I was at a congregation for many, many years, and I had done everything. I mean, I was the zealous. If nobody knew anything, they knew I loved God. And so I would do any and everything that you asked me to do, literally. And I was in prayer one morning. We were about to go to church, and God said, no, stay here. I'm like, wait, no, can't stay here because it's Sunday morning, and I feel weird if I don't go to church on Sunday morning. I can't do that. He said, yeah, but you've been affected, and I need you to leave before you become infected. And I said, okay, that was heavier than what I was expecting. So I just took heed. But it was after I went back like one more time. Like in my mind, I love these people. In my mind, I got to kind of wean them off of me in my mind. When God says leave a thing, he means leave. Not how you think you should. I said leave today. Like, don't go back.
Right.
I went back. I guess God said, okay. Just like I told you about the relationship many years ago, you didn't leave right then. So I had to make it uncomfortable so you would have to leave. So he made the situation uncomfortable so I would have to leave. So this time he said, okay, now I ask you, which one do you love more? Now my question is, how long is it going to be before you are obedient to what I say? And instead of doing it the old way, because everything in me wanted to do it my way, I said, as hard as this is going to be, kicking and screaming, I'm going to do this your way. And when I say in the last year, I've literally walked away from people, walked away from things, like when I say never to turn back, because I just know I can't. Mm-hmm. Because the purpose and the destiny for my life is too great. Sometimes we don't value ourselves, and we don't value who God says we are enough to trust him enough with what he has for us. Oh, I got this part and you can have that. No. You do all things well concerning me. Not just some things, all things. Mm-hmm. So you have to truly trust not just the process, but the processor. You have to trust God. You have to trust that his way, he never removes anything without giving you something greater.
Absolutely.
And the thing that I was able to look and see, normally the old me was able to look at stuff and I don't get it. I don't understand. I'm going to cry about it. No. I see exactly why I had to be in the relationships. I see exactly why I had to be in the ministries. I know everything that I learned, I needed it because it set a bar each time. So that way, every time God does a thing, he just goes higher and greater. So now he knows, oh, she'll never go here anymore because I brought her here.
Mm-hmm.
So now you know, if it's not here or above, it's not me, because I bring better. I don't remove anything from you without giving you something greater.
Absolutely. So let me ask you, we've talked about letting go, we've talked about processing, we've talked about purpose, we've talked about authoring, and all of those things are the culmination of like what God has intended and purpose for you, and you've walked through those things. The one thing that I realize in all of this is that the struggle is never on the outside, but the struggle is always within the mind. And once we make the easiest way to get over a struggle is to make a concrete decision based upon great information. My pastor says it this way, said the first time you hear something, it'll be information. The second time you hear it, it will be inspiration. And the third time you'll hear it, it'll be revelation. And so many times people are hearing and listening, and living their life just purely based upon information. Like it has brought no inspiration because it hasn't gone to the depth or the recesses of their heart to come out in a better way. But I think it is the process that allows our character to be built up. And our faith and everything must be forged in the fire. It's tested because it's easy for us to proclaim faith.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like I'll liken it to, it's easy for someone to say that they'll help you until you need help, right? It's easy for someone to say that they love you until that love has to endure something. It's easy for someone to say they have hopes, dreams, goals, and they have a business until they have a lean month, and it's so easy to profess a thing, but you have to have the tenacity to hold on to it and to be able to release it. I think it takes courage to let go.
I think we make it too hard, man.
Yeah.
Like we over spiritualize everything. Some of the biggest moves that God has had in my life is when I was just simply 100% obedient.
That's it.
Right? 99% obedience is 100% disobedience.
That's right.
When it comes to God. Right?
That's right.
And so if God told you to do it, if God ordered it, he got to pay for it. You just got to stand in line. So we don't have to oversimplify or over spiritualize things. If he told you to do it, just be obedient and do it. He already has the way already paved out. We just got to walk in it. That's it. And so especially this year, right? For me, man. So I've been doing this work for 15 years, Andre.
Congratulations, sir.
But I just officially launched my business this year.
Oh man.
Right. And so all this time, I'm working backwards. Like usually somebody has an idea, then they start a business.
That's right.
But for me, I put the work in, and now it's time to start a business, right? And if I just would have been obedient a long time ago, I probably would have been further ahead. But thank God for his grace and for his mercy, right? But he's showing me that, Jesse, when I tell you something, it's already done. Yeah. I just need you to do it. Because nobody can do it like you. Nobody can say it like you. Nobody can write it like you. Nobody can coach it like you. Nobody can mentor it like you. You have to do it. So just go ahead and do it, son. And so it's when I became 100% obedient. Yeah. Sometimes I got to do it scared.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
But at least I'm faithful to what he told me to do. I'm not always perfect. I'm not perfect at all. None of us are. But I'm faithful. I'm faithful to what he's telling me to do, and I'm seeing the results of that faithfulness.
Agreed. So let me ask you this. I was talking to my wife on the way here, and even with launching the podcast, I'll share it now because, hey, I'm here. When I first put out that flyer about launching the podcast on October 2nd, I was just really in like a meditative place. I commune with God all day. So, I said, Lord, what's next? I got the book, and I had gotten some great advice from this guy named Jesse Cole. And he was saying, telling me to make sure that I work this concept of the drawing board for 18 months, make sure I'm being diligent. And so the book sales were going good. I had set up and I had product tables. Things were going well. So I said, okay, what is that thing? You feel it in your spirit when it's time to level up. You're just like, okay, it's time to do something else. And I felt moved to start a podcast. So I put it out there, and listen, you have to make sure you have follow through to do this. But I put it out there to the world. I'm launching a podcast October 2nd. It's going to be 12 sessions, and I'm going to do it through the end of the year. And I hadn't contacted anyone. I hadn't scheduled any guests yet. I made a flyer, and I held myself accountable to getting it done. So she was talking. I said, babe, the shortest way to get from your dreams to a reality is a word called action.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, so many of us, it comes from the point of you saying we over spiritualize it. And I hear so many people talking about, I'm waiting on God, and,
He waiting on you.
and he waiting on you.
Right.
And what's interesting is now there are moments where he will have you occupy a place until he gives you the information or the revelation or direction to move forward. But while you are occupying, like you gave the example of the children of Israel, they were producing until he spoke and came and delivered something new. And so this is my word to all the listeners. And I want Miss Patton to come on. I feel like she has something to add and share to that, is that if you are in a holding pattern or a waiting pattern, that does not give you the permission to sit on your laurels and wait. It means that you need to be producing or be excellent on your level. And you can tell when it's time to level up. And I just give this example. If you were, I'm going to get in trouble with that example, but if you were a 42 size coat and you go ahead and it's getting a little tight on the arms, no disrespect to my brothers who like the modern fit, a little snug.
I need some space,
yeah, I need a little bit of elbow room. And I still wear socks with my dress shoes. I know you might think that's old fashioned, but I still do. I just feel like there's something about a nice sock.
Why not?
You got to have socks on. And I'm seeing brothers in the fall and it's getting a little cold out.
Feet sweating.
Just let me tell you, no socks with the dress shoes. Okay, hey, I'm not. Now, if you have loafers on, that's different.
Right.
But if you got a full tie-up dress shoes and no sock, I'm not knocking you. I'm just saying it's not for me. It looks good on you.
Yeah.
All right. But the point that I'm making here is when you've outgrown something, you know it. And if you're on a job and it seemed like you had like all of the relationships were great, and then all of a sudden you feel this like matter of contention, and someone who at one time favored you is now like being a micromanager of everything that you're doing. Instead of getting angry with the people or the person or the place, just know that God has something better for you. Like I didn't give you the prereq or the background to the drawing board, but I had a moment in 2011 where I lost my job, I lost my home, I lost my cars. And you're talking about a young man that had been on his own since 17, had to go and depend upon the four walls and the roof of someone else. Do you know how humbling that was? And so I feel similar. I started a business. And what I did was I took every gift or talent I had and like spaghetti, I threw it against the wall. I said, something is going to pop from this. And I just started doing what I could because I had to produce. And even when that wasn't bringing in enough money, now, I have my college degree. I had gone to law school and completed it. I was involved in different things and no one would hire me. You're overqualified. You're underqualified. We're not hiring at the moment. And what I did, and I'll share this moment, and I hope this inspires you, and it's not knocking wherever you are in your process, but I stripped my resume of my college degree. I stripped my resume of all of the accolades. I had a professional portfolio, and I was going in and interviewing with mid-level management. And, that's who I would end up reporting to. And I'm coming in, polished and ready to go, and they wouldn't accept me. So I stripped my resume, and I said, I got to put food on the table. And I went and I worked at McDonald's. And I didn't tell them I had a college degree. I didn't say any of those things. And I remember the guy, and I knew God had better. But I worked the third shift so that my kids wouldn't have to see me, get dressed. And then I would be back to take them to school in the morning. And I would work all day, schedule appointments, trying to make business happen. And the guy came to me when I was working the register. And he said, man, you're a fast learner. And we might have to get you on the fries next. And I said, Lord, I smiled, and it was good for my journey because I'll just be honest. I mean, I had moved to Detroit, and I had a beautiful, awesome, and amazing wife. I had a townhouse downtown. We had both cars. I was making pretty good money. I was enrolled in law school. I was involved in this organization, networking, doing all these things. And, oh, man, I thought I was, the cats meow and the dogs bow wow and all of those things. And I remember saying this, and it came back to me. I said, Lord, people, I said, I feel like people don't work because they just lazy and they don't want to work. Until I was that person that wanted to work and couldn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I couldn't find an opportunity, I took that time to make an opportunity. And when I made an opportunity, I got into business with some people because my business acumen wasn't that great. And had disbursements coming through, and then the person ran away with the money. Now imagine I had to come home to 2 kids and a wife and look them in the eye and not know where the next dollar is coming from. I had to go back to the drawing board. But it leads me to our next segue. I guess you don't need to say segue when you're segueing. I'm new to this. It's all good.
Doing good.
All right.
You're doing good.
And so from this framework, I've always believed that anything that I envisioned, that it was entirely possible. It wasn't just semi-possible. I believe if I can conceive the idea that anything that I set my mind to do, that I could achieve it. And it came from a value system of my mom saying, I'm raising you to be a thinking man. And whatever you think, you can become. And I had dressed it all up. And I said, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. I see myself successful. I am blessed and not cursed. I'm high. So I had all of these affirmations. And it led me to the whole idea, which is the name of the first chapter of my book, Entirely Possible. And where I got that from, it didn't come from a position of comfort. It came from the man who had a son, and this is biblical, and it's referenced from, I'll tell you the exact, when you get there, they want to know the address of the scripture, right? Mark 9:23. And Jesus comes on the scene, and the man, the son is possessed with all type of devils, right? So the man say, if you could do this thing, and Jesus is like, yo, my man, if I can do this thing, no, if you can only believe, and all things are possible to him that believes. So it is never a matter of if God can do it. He absolutely can do it, but it's a matter of if you will believe. And so to this entirely possible piece, what would you say to someone who is currently at the brink of a decision? They're at a juncture. Robert Frost talks about it being the fork in the road, right? What would you say to them to encourage and give them courage and give them fight? What would you say to them? Either one, Tiff, Jess.
Producing your drought.
Oh, that's good.
If you're going through a drought, you touched on it earlier. We're producers, right? God is he's a creator, he's a producer, and we're made in his image. That means that we're little producers.
Absolutely.
No matter what's going on, he's giving you enough to still produce. If you're working at a job right now that you don't want to be in, I want you to look at that as a paid internship.
Oh, that's good.
Or you're an investor.
Right. So
so
you're getting paid to learn for your next thing, right? If you're in a relationship right now and it's drying up, do what God told you to do until he tells you not to do it anymore.
That's right.
Produce in your drought. I remember when and I know this day is gonna be full of stories. I think this is gonna help people, right?
Yeah.
And so a couple of years ago, my wife was pregnant with our son. Well, 5 years ago, she was pregnant with our son. I didn't know it at the time.
All right.
Excuse me. And so I come home from work, and I had got fired that day.
Yes, sir.
Right. My wife was working part-time at an engineering spot. She comes down the stairs and she says, "Baby, I'm pregnant." I said, "All right, cool. Right, that's cool. Let's do this thing."
Right.
And then she goes back upstairs, changes her clothes, and comes back down and says, "I just got an email that told me not to report to work tomorrow. I'm fired."
Oh.
So here we go, both of us.
Yes, sir.
On the same day. So we lost our job. She lost her job, and we found out she was pregnant on the same day. So as the man of the house, I'm like, okay, God, like what's going on? What's really going on? What are you really doing?
What's really good?
Right. So I went upstairs in our living room and I plopped down on the couch, start having a pity party. Right. And I heard God say, "Get up off that couch. Stop crying. I'm a producer. You're my son. You're a producer. Get up off this couch and produce." And in that moment, I saw myself at 60 years old.
All right.
I saw my 60-year-old. I saw what I had on. I saw the blazer I had. It was brown blazer with the patches.
Okay.
It was so vivid. Right. It was so vivid that I saw that same thing in the store and I bought it. Right.
Were you salt and peppered up?
I was salt and peppered up.
All right.
I saw how I ran my businesses. I saw how I was a priest in my heart. I saw everything. And his back, my back was turned to me. And he was doing this. Come on. Come on. as if he was saying, you cannot become me if you're sitting on that couch. So here I am, baby coming, income cut in half. I'm depressed. I'm down. I'm whining, which is something that's what's the pet peeve. I don't like to hear whining, so I'm whining, right? And God is saying, get up and produce. So in that moment, I got up, went down to my office, and I began to write.
All right.
I began to write, Lead with No Apologies. I began to write, Lead with No Apologies, 21 ways to boost your influence. Right? So everything that we have on the inside of us, God wants us to produce that. There's no idea that he's given us, no vision that cannot be materialized if we what? Just believe.
Just believe.
And get over those limiting beliefs. I cannot do it. I don't have enough money. I don't have the right networking. I don't look the part. You have everything on the inside of you to make it work. To make it work.
Absolutely. So, Tiff, tell us about this.
I think I think I should be the poster child for that, because I may not have certain things, but I've always had a belief. And I don't know if the belief was in myself or who I am in God, but I think I've seen some of the most incredible things happen in my life, truly and only because I did believe. I've always believed in greater. I'm the one that, regardless of if people believe it or not, about, I hear the stories about Jesus raising Lazarus from the dead and all of that. I was the first believer of that. I've always believed in the supernatural. I've always believed that's just who I've been. I don't know if it was just me having a heart, like a childlike heart to believe in certain things, but I just always did. And there was a point when I just fell in love with God, and I just didn't know how not to be in love with him. So I believed in everything that he said. So I believed that I could do all things, truly. And so even with some of the people that God has placed me before, I always believed that I could. And I've always done things very unconventional.
Okay.
I didn't do the media thing, didn't go the normal route. It didn't go, because I was on a major network. I started on a major network, 107.5, but when I started there, I had absolutely no experience whatsoever in radio, not even a smidget. That was God, because I just believed that I could. And somebody else believed in me because I believed that I could. And I just stepped out. And then I just kept believing. I didn't know Dr. Maya Angelou. In my mind, the only people she talked to is Oprah and Tyler Perry. I was literally typing an email, and I started hearing the voices say, but who are you?
All right.
Nobody knows who you are. And then I heard something that my pastor said, Pastor Keith Hudson, Consumer Fire Christian Center. He said to me when I first got there, he was preaching, and he said, the rules of the world don't apply to me because you're not of the world. So they don't apply to you. So everything that you're trying to, fit in this box based upon people, you don't even go off of those instructions. That's not even the book that you go from, the instruction book that you read from anyway. You're going off of a whole different instruction. You're going off of a whole different app. You're going off of an entirely different playlist. So that doesn't even apply to you. So literally, as I'm sitting up there listening to the voices, I literally was saying, this is what I was doing. The rules of the world don't apply to me. The rules of the world don't apply to me. Literally, I'm typing and I'm saying it out loud. And I'm typing. I send it. All the darts started coming because, I just got kind of consistent in me doing what I was doing. So I had a few big names, and then all of a sudden I just started hearing stuff and people saying stuff, and it wasn't there for me. It was kind of like daggers. So God, I'm not doing this. I didn't sign up for this. I need a sign. If this is really you, I need a sign. And as I'm crying, 2 seconds, not even 2 minutes, if it was that, while I'm in my pity party, I get an email. And it says, Dr. Maya Angelou would love to be on your inaugural show. Here's her home number.
Oh, wow.
Do not give it to anyone, in purple. And I went from crying to laughing. God has continuously done me like that in my life. I don't care what man says. As long as you believe in me, I will make doors open for you that no man can close.
Absolutely.
I don't care if it's never been done for anybody. I'll do it for you because you believe in me. So just believe. You cannot look at your situation. You cannot listen to people. I don't care if it's never been done before. I don't care if you're the first one. God told me that I would be a trailblazer in many things. You can't be around people that when you tell certain things to, even by God, that don't believe in him for real. You got to watch your circles.
Yeah, look for agreement.
You have to.
Yes.
And you have to stay in the word of God, because it was a point in time that I was in a relationship that I was pulling on the person more based upon what I didn't have. And no man, no woman can give you what only God can give you. And I was depleted, and being depleted was not in man, not in self, but depleted in God. I preached it, but I wasn't always doing what I preached. You can't look to man. You have to put total trust in God. And as you do that, he'll show you truly who you are.
Absolutely.
And then you'll be able to believe, and then you'll see things move like never before.
That's amazing.
But you gotta let go.
Gotta let go.
You got to.
So I hear Tiff telling us, if you didn't hear that message, and you must still be holding on to it, because Tiff is telling you that it's time for you to let go. One of the things that I heard you say, Tiff, and Brother Cole, Brother Jesse, it was so powerful. You said other people believed in me because I believed in myself.
Yes.
And then I heard in your get off that couch moment, it was saying that you came to yourself. You was like, hey, I know God has a plan and a purpose for me, and it is far greater